Hi everyone. Today's book is Homecoming by Kate Morton. You've probably seen it on library and bookstore shelves, and a lot has been discussed probably about this. It's a dual timeline, as most of Kate Morton's books are, and a good chunk of the book takes place in the past, as Kate Morton's books tend to do. I'll read the flat from the front of the book, and then I will give you my thoughts on the book. Adelaide Hills, Christmas Eve, 1959. The print up here says that the book is a sweeping saga that begins with a shocking crime, the effects of which echo across continents and generations. Okay. Adelaide Hills, Christmas Eve, 1959. At the end of a scorching hot day, beside a creek in the grounds of a grand country house, a local man makes a terrible discovery. Police are called in the small town of Tambela, which is a fake town, by the way, becomes embroiled in one of the most baffling murder investigations in the history of South Australia. Many years later, and thousands of miles away, Jess is a journalist in search of a story. Having lived and worked in London for nearly 2 decades, she now finds herself unemployed and struggling to make ends meet. A phone call, and also pining for her ex. A phone call summons her back to Sydney, where her beloved grandmother Nora, who raised Jess when her mother could not, has suffered a fall and is seriously ill in hospital. At Nora's house, Jessica discovers a true crime book chronicling a long-buried police case, the Turner family tragedy of 1959. It is only when Jess skims through its pages that she finds a shocking connection between her own family and this notorious event, a murder mystery that has never been satisfactorily resolved. I gave it a 4 3/4 star rating. Excellent book. I did have a bit of a qualm, and I won't go too much into detail because if I did, I'd talk about it for eons probably. My main problem with the book and reason it got docked 1/4 star, otherwise it's a perfect book for me, is that the author spent too much time in the past. Way too much time. Now, because the reason I didn't like that is because she did it with the book in the middle of the story, and I just didn't like that. I thought that it should have been more Jessica's own investigation rather than described, rather than the book, because it felt like I was reading another book within a book. Other than that, I really liked it. I really liked the character portrayals. I really liked the descriptions. I even went online and looked at photos of the Adelaide Hills, and it's an absolute gorgeous part of Australia. I think it gets rarely visited from tourists because, you either go there to see the outback or to see the ocean, but I don't think a lot of people go to see Anyways, long story short, a really good book, really well done. Except for that little minor flaw. I could go on for a while. Because the reason I didn't like it is I felt that as an investigative journalist, which Jess is described as being, I felt that she could have found out the story herself. Yes, she does some investigating herself, and she gets in contact with the author's daughter of this book that she discovers about this case that did not get solved. But I felt like it spent too much time in that space. Could have spent a little less time. It got a little old at times. And it got very, I wouldn't say, it got a little tired towards the end. I kind of wanted to get back to the actual current day timeline rather than being stuck in whenever this, in 1959. And I know, and then it wouldn't make such an intriguing story. I realize that. But I felt it could be a little shorter in that sense, and that part could be a little shorter, and the rest could be, yeah. Because when you find out the twist, and the twist is not what you think it's going to be. Trust me. I won't say what it is. I did find it to be shocking and interesting. Because there's 2 twists in the book. And I won't say what they are. I'll just say that there's 2 twists that you find out. That's all I'll say. Do not flood me with comments or anything asking me what are the twists. Well, I'm not going to do that for you. You need to read the book. If you want to find out what the twists are, if you're really curious, you're going to have to read the book. But they're really good twists. Actually, one was, I kind of figured it out because I had just read The Lake House and she did this one before. So, but the second twist I had not suspected at all. I kind of suspected one of the twists, I should say. I'll just say that. And then when I figured out the second twist, I was like, oh my fracking sugar. I just couldn't believe it. But the way she does it is the second one is absolutely amazing. Anyways, long story short, it's a really good book. Actually, there are a few twists in the book, and that are very interesting because of how, I don't know, how they are used in the book and how they're revealed is very interesting. I won't say anything because I know some of you are like, I want to know now. No, I'm not telling you because the point of this is to get you to want to read the book, and I hope you do because it is a really good book, and then it is not a surprise. It was a finalist for one of the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I think it may have even won, but I do not know that. I could be wrong on that, so I'm not going to say that, but I know it was a finalist for sure. Definitely, it's a definite really good one, and yes, the book within the book is a little long, but the rest of the story surrounding it is really good, particularly when everything is revealed. It all comes to fruition, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what it was. Anyways, I do hope you pick it up somewhere, and I would highly recommend that you pick it up through my bookshop.org site if you haven't had a chance to buy it. That way I get a bit kicked back to me because I'm an affiliate. And yeah. I mean, Leanne Moretti says it best on the back of the book. She says it's deliciously compelling, and it definitely is. And some of the remarks on the back, some of the praise that is mentioned on the back definitely is worth the praise. It definitely is a very compelling book. Don't know if I'll reread it, but I know at some point, because I know what the twist is, doesn't Yeah, exactly. I do like her as an author. She's one of these authors that you can read once and then it's just like, yeah, I know what the twist is. And you just love it. I just love her twists in these books because, yeah. Anyways, it's a really good read. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, it's out now in paperback, probably pretty much everywhere you find a book. I don't know how many people have hardcover at this point. I managed to get myself on the Canadian edition, or even the U.S. edition. This is a Canadian edition, by the way. Mine are mostly either Canadian, British, or American, but most of mine are Canadian editions, which also somewhat like can be either the American or the British. It depends on what they decide to do. I got what would be considered, I guess, the U.S. edition, because I know there's another one edition with I think a bird on the front, because that plays into this as well. But I really like the photo on the front of my book really is really well described in the book, and it does feel that way. Anyways, highly recommend the book, especially if you have read her other books, and if you've read other authors like Kate Quinn, Kristen Hanna, and that sort of genre of author where they like a lot to do with dual timelines, going back and forth. So I highly recommend the book. It's called Homecoming by Kate Morton, and I look forward to talking to you fairly soon. Bye for now.